Hello, I'm your friendly neighborhood Purple Doughboy, and after playing for around 60 hours, here's my review of Dragon's Dogma 2. I recently mainlined the game and enjoyed it, but I wish it was a little bit longer. Now that just might be my fault, but I won't get into the details. The overall game feels like Monster Hunter with extra steps and a story based in the Dungeons & Dragons realm. The story wasn't anything new and game changing, but it was pretty good. You have a couple of big bads, you fight some monsters, bada bing, bada boom, now you're royalty. The core of the game is hunting down monsters, doing quests, and upgrading your gear at the town you're currently questing at. Fighting hordes of goblins, lizard people, and bandits with the occasional giant monster was pretty fun. The combat mechanics for the classes I played were also pretty fun, and it felt like progress was being made every time I leveled up my vocation. If you just play the story and make sure you're talking to people who look important, you can get some scrolls and gear that'll definitely help you out later on in the game. Some of those scrolls are going to teach you some pretty cool moves that make the classes feel a lot more powerful. For example, there's Heaven Shot, where you shoot a giant arrow at something powered by magic, or you can use some Naruto Jujutsu to clone yourself to fight some other stuff, or you kind of just turn into a ghost and get really hard to hit. I highly recommend trying out different vocations along the way to experiment, since you never really know how a vocation feels until you're actually playing it. For example, I didn't think I was going to enjoy the Mystic Blade vocation, but it's now one of my favorite vocations. A lot of people kind of got upset early on because there weren't a lot of fast travel options, but again, if you just play the game, you will easily get items that will shorten your travel time by a whole lot. There's even ox carts that do a decent job at getting you from point A to point B pretty quickly. Just don't break the cart while you're fighting off an ambush. With that being said, I did enjoy going back and forth, beating the snot out of monsters and finding caves that had some surprisingly good loot. The game definitely does a good job enticing you to go and explore around, and gives you a decent amount of hints to do so. The pawns are a great asset, even though they never seem to shut up after a while. They do a great job of learning from you and guiding you through the campaign based on their previous pawn owner. Mixing and matching your pawns to your playstyle or vacation is a great feature of the game and makes for interesting combat, but be careful, there is something called dragon sickness, and they will turn into dragon and kill all the NPCs at the town that you're at if you're not paying attention to what they're saying. But you can just look at them in their eyes and you can see that they're glowing red. Just throw them off a bridge or just possibly dismiss them and then resummon them, and everything will be fine. Bear in mind though that you need to be paying attention to how you get around, because they will jump off a cliff or die, or possibly run up to a dragon and start fighting it even though you're trying to avoid it. So just give those monsters that you're trying to avoid at the time at lower levels just a wide berth. The fact that you can high-five your pawn after a battle, or pretty much interact with them after a battle, never gets old, but they are just there to be used as tools and worship the ground that you walk on. It's not like Baldur's Gate 3, where you are creating bonds between them and they aren't going to get too mad if you throw them out of a bridge or throw them at a monster, or if you do something kind of shady. Even though there's no multiplayer, the pawn missions and seeing how other people make their pawns is a lot of fun. I've seen some funny looking pawns and some pawns that just look really cool. Since the only pawn that levels up with you is your main pawn, you will need to swap them out pretty frequently depending on how quickly you're leveling up. At times, the world feels alive since you can be going down a path and see NPCs and pawns alike fighting monsters, or just walking around and somewhat interacting with the world around you. Once you get to a new town, the NPCs will start walking up to you and start trauma dumping their troubles on you, and there are a few exceptions where you might need to go and look for an NPC to get a specific quest. You'll hear them complain about not knowing what to do or talk about something that isn't right. Once you get to a specific part of the game, the voice acting kind of takes a turn and feels a little hollow at times. The quests for the most part are pretty fun and will help you get more affinity, which basically means they like you. One person who liked me gave me a discount at their shop, while another just talked to me and said some nice things to me, whispered sweet nothings in my ear, but there was nothing really romantic. There weren't any romances between me and the other NPCs, at least not through the playthrough that I was doing, so if you do find something where they are a little bit more romantic or express their love for you, let me know in the comments. The other part of the world that's pretty nice too is the environment changing, when you can break a dam or you can throw boulders down to fight monsters, as well as weather effects where it's sunny one day and then pouring down rain the next. Also, the camping in the game is very fun and actually adds a nice little buff to you if you cook some steaks, and kind of makes the world feel a little bit more alive and interactive, just because you do have to clear out the camp so you don't get ambushed during the night. Now, the game looks amazing and I do love the graphics. I had to stop myself from going into photo mode every time I found a new place to explore or go into an epic battle. From the forest to the desert, I think they did a pretty fantastic job on the designs. Some of the NPCs look pretty bad, but hey, not everyone is perfect. The monsters all look good and evil, even the zombies look pretty good for being undead. The movement in combat looked and felt pretty great, even when an ogre came barreling through the forest, and everything felt pretty cinematic. Even connecting your hits with certain enemies and breaking their guard was just really cool looking, in my opinion. The character customization felt amazing, with being able to make a really detailed character, and is unique in the sense that how you make your character actually matters. If you're going to make a beefy character, then you're going to be a little slow and weighed down, but you could carry a lot of loot. With that in mind, if you were to play a character that benefits from being light, then maybe try to make a character a little less buff and more on the slim side. You can change the way your character is built by spending RC on a book and then going to the barbershop, or just by beating the main story and restarting the game. If you're going to play a lot of different vocations, I would recommend trying to find a good middle ground though, and save your RC for better pawns. Now, here are some things that I didn't really agree with the game, or just didn't like overall. The story was good, but it felt like it could have been better, possibly just a little bit longer. The voice acting for some key characters wasn't as good as I was hoping for, and kind of felt hollow, like somebody used an AI to make their script and just kind of, put it out there just to be in the game. I really hated the fact that they used brine, or whatever it's called, to make it so they didn't have to put a swimming mechanic in the game that has exploration. I feel like swimming mechanics in exploration games, even if you die after spending so much stamina, kind of makes it more fun and a lot more explorable. And a lot of the times it's made it so you had to go around in a huge circle or get stuck in a ledge because you got thrown off by a huge monster, and the only way down is to jump into the river. The optimization when it was first released was a dumpster fire. It got a little bit better thanks to recent updates, but I still hear some horror stories about people not being able to start up the game, or frame rates dropping, or the game just overall crashing. I even ran into the game crashing a couple of times, but it luckily auto-saved for me to, keep going. I get that it's console port, but I'm honestly tired of hearing the excuse, since God of War, Final Fantasy VII, and a couple of other console ports actually play pretty well on PC. Even though combat is fun, at times it was a little annoying and had some clunky moments where I was trying to aim for one thing and my character went for pretty much something that was already dead, or just nothing at all. There was a few times that I would try and do a finisher on something that was on the ground, and instead of my character trying to tackle the monster or stab the monster on the ground, it just started swiping at thin air, trying to fight its demons, quite literally. I don't agree with the fact that you have to spend real money on in-game items, especially when the game is already at $70. I understand some people don't have a lot of time to grind out the game to get these items, but the core of the game is to adventure, and just buying the items to get you from point A to point B and just teleporting around just kind of makes the game dull. After a while, the pawns just didn't have anything interesting to say and would repeat the same line over and over again, and I didn't see the option that they had in the last game where you could talk to your pawn and ask them not to talk as much. I was told you could turn off autosave, but I haven't really found the feature, and that might just be my issue with being dumb. I understand that they're trying not to have any save scumming, but it was kind of annoying when those bugs happened and I couldn't really undo what was done. On top of that, there was also a decent amount of NPCs that just told me to go away, and they didn't really add to the world or the story, and they were just there causing optimization issues. I understand that there's people that have lists of NPCs that you can kill, but I think that's kind of dumb. Just if they're not going to really do much and just cause optimization issues, just get rid of them maybe, or have them say different lines. I don't know. I just think they could have had more liveliness to the NPCs, and it would have made the world feel a little bit more alive. But that's just me. Now, even though I did enjoy the game and played it for a decent amount of time and probably will continue to play it in the New Game Plus, I just can't justify the price point. That could be that I'm, a dirty little PC gamer, but $70 is just too much for a game like this. The combat, the camping, and the pawn mechanics were great, but I still felt like there was a lot that could have been added to make the game feel even more worth it. Like not spending RC on remaking the character, playing as the ruler of the kingdom, or maybe drawing out the last boss fight. Hell, even make it so that way I could have edited my house. That would have been nice too. Maybe they'll add that stuff later on in the game. Who knows, but they're definitely going to try and make you pay for it. I really wish there was more to the Affinity, where it was just more than getting discounts. I wish they would have added more dialogue between you and other characters based off of your affinity. And it would have been nice to have some type of romance. Again, that might have just been because of my playthrough, but maybe they just didn't really add that into the game. Again, the game is more of a monster fighting game and not really a bond with other characters and have this huge convoluted story type of game, which I understand. There are a decent amount of side quests, but some of them are really repetitive or just kind of make you take longer because they have you escort someone on the other side of the map. I understand it's a $10 difference, but it would be maybe worth $60 or maybe $50, but I wouldn't recommend spending the full price on this game yet, especially when it has bugs and has crashing issues and they keep using the console port scapegoat. So just kind of save your money, wait a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months for them to fix their bugs, and then spend the money on it. But I still recommend waiting for it to go on sale. But based off of the review, and if there's any parts of the game that I mentioned earlier that make you, hey, I don't care about that stuff, definitely go ahead and play it. I just recommend saving money on games in general and just usually waiting for sales, and don't pre-order games and don't buy games when they're brand new because you're going to have problems with it. I, on the other hand, wanted to play this and test it and stream it because it was a brand new game, so I kind of made that mistake. Hopefully by the time that they have a sale on it though, it'll be a lot better. I had a lot of fun though in the game, and if you do like Dragon's Dogma as a series, if you've ever watched the anime, then definitely give this game a try, or just, watch other people play it for a bit and see if you like it. I do like the game, and I do hope they release more stuff for it, and I'm definitely going to be playing the New Game Plus on it and probably going to enjoy it a little bit more. But I can't really recommend it to any of my friends, especially if they're trying to save some money. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope it kind of answered some questions for you if you were on the fence about buying the game. If this video didn't answer any of your questions, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll definitely go through and answer as many as I can. And if you do want to watch me play the game, you can definitely check out my Twitch, or if you want to watch me play any other games, come on by, just say hi. I do have a Twitter as well that you can check out. It's PurpleDoughboy07, so that way you know when I'm going live. Thanks again for taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.